It's recently been brought to my attention that not all of you watch Trump rallies every day and have no idea what they are actually like. I don't know, mainstream media probably just gives you tiny snippets, but they're unhinged. Midas Network calls them a traveling fascist circus, and there's really no other way to describe them. So I want to take you guys on a journey of the North Carolina rally that just happened a couple days ago. It's utterly unhinged. A lot of it is really hateful, um, which is hilarious because a week ago they were talking about unity and all this nonsense going into the RNC. Like after Trump got shot, he was going to be nice. Well, this is what he thinks of being nice after getting shot.
You know, I was supposed to be nice. They say something happened to me when I got shot. I became nice. And when you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous people. When you're dealing with them, you can't be too nice. You really can't be. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Is that okay?
So yeah, Trump has no interest in being nice or unifying the party in any way. Cruelty is all he's got. Speaking of the shooting, let's watch how Trump reflects on his near-death experience.
Show it about 30 times. They show it every day over and over. But watch the people behind. They always stampede. If a bullet goes off or something happens at a soccer stadium or a stadium, and we had more people than most of those stadiums would have, everyone runs. Nobody ran. They stayed, and you have to look. The one guy, he just was so angry. He's looking. I gotta meet him. There's something about brave people that I love, right? People that love our country.
Honestly, it's just disgusting. He talks about a shooting where somebody died like a movie or something, and his followers just cheer it on. To be fair, he did mention Corey Compatore later in the speech and two others that got shot, but it was weird. I'm sure you're wondering how the topic of the shooting got brought up during this rally in the first place. Was it maybe a somber moment of reflection on political violence? Absolutely not. He was signaling to these people in the crowd. Trump has these like devout followers that he calls the front row Joes that come to every rally. He loves to point them out, and this time that train of thought kind of led into him talking about the shooting because they were there. Yeah, I'll let him introduce the front row Joes for you.
Front row Joes. Front row Joes. You know, front row Joes, they've been to 201. I hate to tell you that, North Carolina. They've beat you 201.
Yeah, and that led into him saying they were at a really bad rally a week ago and talking about the shooting. When he said at the end there, I hate to tell you that, North Carolina, he was talking to a group of women that also comes to every single rally. And earlier he said that they only came to like 190 or something. So the front row Joes have them beat, I guess. He loves them, but he always manages to talk about their husbands. Like, oh, I hope their husbands don't mind that they're always at these rallies. Also, did you notice the ivermectin ad there in the corner? Right Side Broadcasting is a Trump propaganda machine. They live stream Trump rallies from beginning to end. They'll be out there for like 8 hours interviewing attendees and fawning all over Trump until he finally comes up to speak, usually like an hour late. They also have the craziest ads that constantly pop up during Trump rallies. Anyway, here's Trump talking about the group of women that always comes to his rallies.
And I have these incredible women from North Carolina right over there. And they've been to, I shouldn't tell you, 129 different rallies. Can you believe it? Look how great they look. And their husbands love them. I don't know how the husbands do this. They travel all over, and finally we have one in North Carolina, nice and easy. It's nice and easy for you. No, they're incredible people. 129 rallies, it's great. But it's...
My bad, 129 rallies, so the front row Joes really do have them beat. I forgot to mention, when Trump brought up the victims of the shooting at his rally, it made his brain, obviously, think about the RNC and how successful a convention that was, and how it broke all the records and all the ratings, which it definitely didn't. I don't know. Kid Rock playing music isn't really a crowd pleaser these days. But anyway, here's Trump talking about the RNC.
They're great people, and we had a great convention. We had a convention that broke all television ratings. How good was the Hulkster, right? Oh. And Kid Rock called. He wanted to be a part. He was fantastic. But they were all fantastic. It was the greatest. It was just a flawless convention. It was great. And the television ratings were record-setting ratings. You all read that.
I'm sure a lot of you are saying, oh, Molly, that can't be the whole rally. He's got to talk about policy at one point and how naive and wrong you would be. His stump speech is just pure insanity. The clips I've shown you so far cover probably 20 to 30 minutes of the rally being an hour and 45 minutes. And just those clips I've shown you cover maybe 20, 30 minutes, and a little bit in between talking about how Biden is a fake liberal and Kamala's a real liberal and that she's been the mastermind behind everything this whole time. But yeah, the whole thing is just nonsense. But sure, let's hear how some policy differences between what he believes VP Harris and the Dems believe for abortion policies, what their policies are, and compare that to what his policies on abortion are, in his own words.
She wants to take away your Second Amendment, which we need. Lion Kamala is also a total radical on a word called, do you know this, right? A word called what? Abortion. She's a radical, crazy person. When you compare my position on abortion to that of Kamala Harris, my position is 8 points higher in the polls, and that's because she is so radical. She wants abortions in the 8th and 9th month of pregnancy. That's fine with her, right up until birth, and even after birth, the execution of a baby, because that's not abortion, that's the execution of a baby. You remember the governor, you remember the former governor, the current governor is excellent. The former governor of Virginia, he said, yes, we may have the baby, and then we decide with the mother what to do with the baby. This is after the baby is born now. She supports that. She supports taxpayer funds to pay for abortion for any reason whatsoever. She even voted against legislation that would require medical providers to give care to babies born alive after an attempted abortion. Think of that one. Whereas our position is that abortion is now back to the states. You know, for 52 years, they've wanted to bring, it's Roe v. Wade. They wanted to bring it back to the states.
Sorry for the longer clip there, but context matters, and it's hard to capture a full Trump train of thought in just a short clip. First of all, his brain breaks at the beginning, and he forgets the word abortion. His position on abortion, according to him, is 8 points higher in the polls. Don't know how that's a position. Everything he says about Dems and their abortion policies are lies. Everything he says in general is lies, but this one is particularly heinous. I mean, people are suffering in the country right now because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Dobbs gave the decision back to the states, and a lot of states had trigger laws that immediately went into effect that basically outlawed the practice of abortion. We've seen a lot of folks coming together to sue their respective states because they suffered and faced permanent damage. It's not good what's happening. And Trump takes full credit for that, by the way. He always says that abortion goes back to the states and that all the scholars wanted that all the smartest people wanted Roe overturned. And that's obviously a lie. It's not true. It's nonsense. And Trump likes to claim that he wouldn't do a full abortion ban, but don't get it twisted. A Trump-Vance presidency would involve a total abortion ban. Project 2025, all of it, that is what they want. They've been working for this for 50 years. They're not going to stop now. They don't want abortions at all. They don't want IVF. They don't want abortions. They don't want birth control. They don't want childless women, apparently. JD Vance thinks that childless women shouldn't have the same rights as parents and should be taxed more. So, yeah. And under a Trump-Vance presidency, it wouldn't be about what states wants. It would be about what the creepiest misogynists in the country would want. And speaking of Vance, let's see what Trump has to say about his VP pick.
Great guy. Went to Yale Law School without any connections because his father passed away and his mother had some difficulty. And you get into Yale without any connections, that's pretty good. And he was a great student. Then he met his beautiful wife at Yale, two smart people. It's really an amazing story.
Love the My Pillow ad in there. Trump doesn't know Vance at all. He knows like the first paragraph of Wikipedia amount about JD Vance. He knows just the most basic facts. I doubt he even knows Vance's wife's name. It's Usha, by the way. But maybe he at least knows about JD Vance's book that came out.
Under Trump-Vance administration, and he's terrific. By the way, he's been incredible. You know, he wrote the great book on workers, about how workers were being horribly taken advantage of. Became a movie, big best-selling book, became a great movie, actually. And he's a great guy. Went to Yale Law School without any connections.
Oof, guess not. Dude has no idea what JD Vance's book is about or what his family went through. He won't even mention the entire premise of the book, which is about addiction. If $1 million were on the line, I don't think he would be even able to name the book, Hillbilly Elegy. According to reports, he only went with JD Vance as his VP pick because his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, and Peter Thiel, who's a tech billionaire, convinced him to, which is hilarious. I've got a couple more longer clips for you, and these might be a little bit hard to listen to for some folks. It's no secret that transphobia is a huge policy on the right. Like, it's baked into almost everything they do. It's part of the book bans. It's part of their war on public education. All of it. It's gross, and it's hateful, and it's evil, and it needs to be called out every chance we can. They have cooked up in their heads the most vile hatred for a small group of already marginalized people. So brace yourself. I don't take any of this lightly. It's not funny. It's horrifying. This first clip is him talking about some made-up volleyball incident from 2 weeks ago. This whole anti-trans rant lasts like 10 minutes, so I'm going to spare you most of it. But yeah, here's him talking about trans people in volleyball.
Who could ever want men playing in women's sports in a much smaller way? Did you see a beautiful woman volleyball player 2 weeks ago? Got badly hurt. I didn't know you could get hurt in volleyball, but when the ball comes back at you at 140 miles an hour, I guess that can hurt. Got knocked out. But playing with a man who transitioned. And she was a top player. She said, "I've never seen a ball come at me like that. I played volleyball for a long time since I'm a little girl. I've never seen a ball, Richard." She said, "I've never seen a ball come." What about race car drivers? Do you want to have a couple of transitioned race car drivers? Maybe that's okay. Actually, that could work. That could work. I have a good one for you I'd like to recommend.
I'm sorry to have to show these clips. I know it's disgusting. I know it's vile and horrible, but it's important that we talk about this. It's important that we shed light on what this man is actually saying and what he believes and what people like him believe, which is gross, vile hatred. But they believe it, and they want to change laws to punish and harm trans people. And all this like weird sports stuff that they talk about is it's their way of trying to make it seem relatable, basically. they're trying to protect women and girls in sports, but that's not what this is about. This isn't about sports. It's never been about sports. It's about banning and harming trans people. That is it. He ends this rant by talking about race cars, because there's somebody in the crowd who owns race cars, one of his rich friends. In this next clip of anti-trans hatred word association, Trump does his infamous weightlifting impressions. First of all, he says that the cis woman weightlifter can only lift an ounce, and she struggles to do that while trying out for the Olympics, I guess, in this made-up scenario in his head. Then he gets himself lost talking about Melania at the RNC before he gets back into the impersonation. But he and all of the Republicans, they think cis women are weak and fragile and made of glass, and trans women are all friggin' superheroes who are just like the strongest people ever, capable of spiking a volleyball at, what did he say, 140 miles an hour or some nonsense? Anyway, here's his weightlifting impersonation that he does at every rally, by the way. This isn't like random. This is part of the stump speech. This is always in his rallies.
I'd like to recommend. That could work maybe. But she said, I've never seen a ball come, or the weightlifting records. You see what's happening there? For 18 years, they had a record. 18 years. A quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce on the barbells, right? A quarter of an ounce, little tiny thing. And she goes, Olympic tryouts. Mom and Dad are in the front. And I hate to do it. You know, my wife says it's so unprecedented when you do that. Can you believe it? So I'm embarrassed. I used to give it a big push, but now I'm embarrassed. You know, I know I'm embarrassed to do it. She said, darling, your speech was wonderful, but please do stop with the weightlifting and the swimming. It's so unprecedented. You know, she's a class act. But I said, but people like it. People like it. She looked good 2 weeks ago coming into that arena, right? Melania. Who's a class act. Yeah, turn off your cameras for a second, okay? Boy, that's a lot of cameras. Man. No, they get it up and they can't quit do it. Mom, I'm sorry, Mom. And a guy comes out for the tryouts. He comes out. Have you lifted before? No, I haven't really tried it. Oh. Well, give it a shot. Bing, bong. Right? How crazy is it?
I was going to show a lot more clips, but this video is going on 20 minutes, and no one wants to sit through that much Trump nonsense unless you are hate watching it like me, or you're actually a member of his brainwashed cult. Maybe I'll make a part 2 of this rally where we can talk about his anti-immigrant stuff and his obsession with Hannibal Lecter. Or maybe I'll do another part 2 from his Turning Point rally today, or he's got a rally with J.D. Vance tomorrow. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you want more content like this. Trump rallies are nuts, and I could recite the whole thing, so I am happy to share that horrible skill with all of you. Thanks for watching. Get registered to vote, and help your friends get registered.